Hey guys, thanks for stopping by. In this video, I want to show you my honest review, and I hope I will be able to highlight all the pros and cons of this product. So let's begin.
Lizzie, wake up! Honey, please, wake up!
Sir, your wife fell into a severe diabetic coma. We're doing all we can to lower her blood sugar, but things don't look good.
Please, Dr. Ellis, help her. Please, help my Lizzie.
I'm afraid there's something else. We'll need to amputate her leg as soon as possible.
No.
It pains my heart to think of what my wife Lizzie has been through. Only 2 years ago, almost to the date. But if you or one of your loved ones suffer from type 2 diabetes, you may want to hear the rest of the story. Because it was that precise moment that sent me on a life-changing journey through the dark underbelly of the money-grabbing diabetes industry. One where I would uncover the shady practices they've been forcing on millions of innocent people, and that would eventually give me the answer that saved my wife's life and leg, as well as the lives of over 184,000 other type 2 diabetics from all corners of this planet. Because in this journey, I would discover a safe and inexpensive morning trigger from a small, forgotten Vietnamese village. One that would revoke Lizzie's type 2 diabetes in a matter of weeks. Eliminate all the debilitating symptoms that were ruining her life. Her excruciating pain in her legs and feet, blurred vision, constant fatigue, all gone. She lowered her blood sugar levels from the dangerous 498 that almost took her life and left leg to 246, then 164, and ultimately to a healthy 117. She lost 48 pounds of raw fat, going from this to this, and supported a healthy heart, arteries, joints, and bone strength at the same time. All of it without paying a single visit to the doctor, without any restrictive diets, spending a minute in the gym, or hurting herself 7 times a day with an insulin prick. You see, you've been lied to by the same people you trusted to make you better. What they conveniently forgot to mention is that your increasing blood sugar has nothing to do with the sweets you eat or the number of carbs in your meal. They are not related to how much you exercise, and they are definitely not related to your genes, your weight, or the fact that you're getting older. Instead, as shocking as this may sound, it's all due to a hidden and yet highly vicious process happening inside your brain, which stops your body's natural ability to maintain normal blood sugar levels and causes almost irreversible damage to your entire health. But there is hope, because once you discover what this process is, you'll be able to stop it, restore your body's natural ability to maintain healthy blood sugar levels, and break free from type 2 diabetes in just a few weeks. No matter if you're 20 or 80 years old, no matter if you've been a type 2 diabetic for 10 days or 20 years, and no matter your actual health condition. This simple morning trigger has been kept private by the inhabitants of a tiny Vietnamese village and will help you lower your blood sugar to healthy levels without having to give up on your favorite foods like pizza, ice cream, cheesecake, or apple pie, and without going on painful and complex workout routines. In the next 5 minutes, I'll share with you the real reason why every type 2 diabetes drug is ultimately destined to fail, and how every doctor knows this, yet they'll never dare to tell you. Why eating this one veggie could be the worst thing you can do if you're trying to lower your blood sugar levels. The hidden warning sign you need to watch out for that shows you you're close to a diabetic coma, something that my wife ignored and almost sent her to an early grave. The groundbreaking American experiment that unveiled the real reason behind type 2 diabetes and uncontrolled blood sugar, and the clinically proven morning trigger that naturally lowers your blood sugar to healthy levels and keeps it like this even in your late 90s. Plus, every single research paper, lab study, and clinical trial that stands behind this incredible solution. Now, this may sound like something too good to be true, but I promise you, today on this page only, you'll find nothing but the truth. The same truth that Big Pharma has been quietly keeping behind closed doors, even though it's backed by dozens of research papers and clinical studies, some even as old as 2 decades. and others as new as the beginning of 2020. I'll show them all to you, and I'll show you the same morning trigger that not only saved my wife's life, but gave her the power to control her blood sugar and break free from type 2 diabetes in a matter of weeks. So if you're here to finally learn the truth about your erratic glucose readings, then this is the right place to be. Now, make sure you keep watching this video until the end, because I don't know how much longer I can keep it online. Even as we speak, there is vested interest in making sure this information doesn't reach your computer. The diabetes industry is worth a staggering $350 billion. These people will stop for nothing to keep you unhealthy and their customer for life, especially since doing so makes them filthy rich. And the last thing they want is for you to see what I'm about to show you today. So please, pay close attention, because the information I'm about to share could save your life or the life of someone you love. Because today, you finally have the chance to stop worrying about the horrifying type 2 diabetes complications like losing your eyesight or amputation. To stop restricting yourself every time you go out to your favorite restaurant. Instead, you'll be able to eat anything you want, anytime you want, worry-free, knowing that your body naturally keeps your blood sugar in healthy range. You'll be full of energy and vitality all day long, and you'll enjoy every moment you spend with your family. No more debilitating pain in your feet and legs. No more having to change every single part of your life to keep your readings under control. You'll have the freedom to do whatever you want, anytime you want. Your spouse will love the new you, and everyone will look at you with a glim in their eyes, dying to know the secret to your amazing transformation. So let's not waste any more time. It's about time you broke free from this debilitating disease. My name is James Miller. I am 53 years old, and I live in Austin, Texas with my wife, Lizzie. I want you to know that I'm no doctor, no health guru, and I don't have a diploma from Yale or Harvard. I work as a proud ambulance driver, and have been doing so for the last 18 years. It's a dangerous job where every second counts. Over the years, I've watched many people fighting for their lives, and I've seen firsthand what type 2 diabetes can do to innocent men and women. That's why 2 years ago, I was really worried about my wife, Lizzie. Back then, Lizzie and I were your happily married couple, and, taking life and health for granted every day. Until one cold mid-December week, after an episode of bad flu, when Lizzie began to notice some unusual symptoms. She had uncontrollable cravings for chocolate and homemade ice cream. She began going to the bathroom more often, and she was constantly thirsty and tired, complaining about her mouth being dry all the time. At first, we thought it was just her being tired from work, since she was working as a cashier for one of the local supermarkets, and holiday season means a lot of late-night work. But as her health appeared to get worse, we decided to go see a doctor. After checking her blood sugar and performing several more blood tests, the diagnosis was clear. She was type 2 diabetic. The news came as a shock to us. We knew nothing about type 2 diabetes, let alone how to treat it. But we trusted the doctors. They put Lizzie on metformin right away to lower her blood sugar and assured us that her condition would improve soon. So she continued with the treatment and went for regular monthly checkups. And even though she felt horrible, the doctors explained to us that it's all normal and that all drugs have side effects. But 4 years went by, and Lizzie's condition only got worse. Her blood sugar levels became erratic, the pain in her feet was unbearable, her blood pressure was through the roof. The cravings for sweets would hunt her day and night. Plus, and it pains me to admit this, since Lizzie had already gained over 30 pounds, she was too ashamed for us to have any intimate moments. Seeing that the medication was not working, doctors switched it to metformin glyburide, and once again promised it would get better. But this only gave Lizzie a whole bunch of other side effects, such as bloating, muscle aches, and kidney pains. Until one night, when the unthinkable happened. I had just finished my shift, and when I came home, I noticed Lizzie wasn't feeling well. She was all pale, could barely breathe, and had stomach pains. I suggested we call an ambulance, but Lizzie said she'll be fine. Then, not a minute later, she collapsed on the floor. When the ambulance arrived at the hospital, doctors feared the worst. Lizzie had slipped into a type 2 diabetes coma, and given her blood sugar levels, chances were that she'd never wake up from it. As I talked to one of the doctors handling her case, he told me something that no one ever wants to hear. "We may have to amputate your wife's leg in order to save her life," said Dr. Ellis. "We have to do this as soon as next week." I was in shock. The doctor explained that it was only by a miracle that Lizzie had survived and that the blood vessels were narrowing to the point where the only way that she would live would be without her left leg. We were finally facing the harsh reality of this debilitating disease. My wife's blood sugar was a ticking time bomb, and nobody knew when it would set off. As I watched Lizzie connected to all those machines keeping her alive, my eyes filled with tears. It was that moment when I realized that I didn't have much time. I had to do something before it was too late. So that night, I powered up my laptop and, sitting next to Lizzie's bed, I began my quest. There was something that haunted me. Why was it so easy for some people to naturally control their blood sugar no matter what they eat, and so hard for others like Lizzie? I remember my wife, even in her best diabetics days, when she would be extremely careful with her meals, and yet her glucose readings would still get out of control. It's almost like her body would turn against her. She lived in constant fear, as if this dreadful monster was constantly watching her every move, ready to attack in any moment. So after a long night, here's what I found. As you may already know, type 2 diabetes develops when your body becomes resistant to insulin or when the pancreas is unable to produce enough insulin. Scientists have been trying to understand where exactly this process starts. During the last 2 decades, many studies have focused on the brain as to where insulin imbalance happens. You see, insulin is crucial for your brain. The brain is the biggest glucose hog in your whole body. In fact, it's the only organ that actually requires glucose to function. Everything else can run on fat if it has to, but for the brain, it's either glucose or bust. That's because the synapses between neurons are formed with a high cost of energy, which leads to a high consumption of glucose. Many studies over the years have shown that insulin resistance starts in a part of your brain called the hypothalamus, where there is a high density of insulin receptors. These receptors are unable to receive the insulin signals and, in result, cause your body metabolic disorders and blood sugar imbalance. But even after decades of research, scientists still couldn't figure out why the insulin receptors are unable to receive these signals. Now, these genius scientists from the University of Washington took a different approach. Instead of focusing on what happens inside the brain, they followed the insulin signaling all the way to this powerful and complex organ. And what they found was astonishing. They proved that insulin receptors are not the real problem, but instead, what they found is that something happens during the signaling process. When insulin travels to your brain, it reaches a place called the blood-brain barrier, which is your brain's natural defense mechanism against toxins and parasites. As the research shows, when the blood-brain barrier becomes damaged, it prevents the insulin from getting to your brain. Basically, your insulin, instead of reaching to your brain, gets stuck inside this barrier and is seen by your body as the enemy. And that's when the insulin imbalance process starts. It's not inside your pancreas, nor it's inside the hypothalamus, but instead is inside this extremely important part of your brain called the blood-brain barrier. Imagine you're just coming home from your favorite restaurant. Like usual, you want to avoid setting off the burglar alarm. So you enter your code, and, surprise, surprise, it doesn't work. You try again, and it still doesn't work. Yet you know that you did not change the security code. It's like your own house doesn't recognize you anymore. That's the same thing which is causing your uncontrolled blood sugar and type 2 diabetes. Only that instead your own house is the blood-brain barrier, which doesn't recognize insulin anymore and won't let it reach your brain. So your body becomes unable to normalize blood sugar, and you end up with this debilitating disease. And the worst part is, when your blood-brain barrier becomes damaged, it also leads to brain fog, difficulty concentrating, chronic fatigue, headaches, migraines, high blood sugar, obesity, and problems sleeping. Any of these sound familiar to you? As I continued my research, I stumbled upon half a dozen more studies that proved, in fact, the real cause of type 2 diabetes is the damaged blood-brain barrier. This was incredible. Yet not one single doctor mentioned this to me or Lizzie in our long, painful years waiting in hospital hallways. They were too busy prescribing pharmaceutical medications with all their side effects. Why is no one focusing on finding a solution for this? I asked myself. But God truly has a plan for us, because the man I would meet the very next morning would change everything. As I paced rapidly down those hospital hallways, not knowing if my wife would ever wake up, there was Robert, an old friend of mine. You see, Robert's story is very unfortunate and painful to tell. His father had died from type 2 diabetes complications when Robert was 4 years old. And as if this wasn't enough, Robert himself was also diagnosed with type 2 diabetes when he was 11 years old. And just like many other good people, his doctor told him that one day he would become dependent on insulin. When I last saw Robert a few years back, he wasn't doing very well. He had gained a lot of weight, was complaining heavily about the pain in his feet and arms, and he was terrified when the doctors mentioned amputation to him. But the moment he came and introduced himself, my heart nearly stopped. He had changed so much. He had lost so much weight. His skin was glowing. He was happy. He seemed like a new man, a free man. I told Robert all about Lizzie, how she was going to lose her leg if I didn't find help for her, and begged him if he knew something, anything that would help me, I would be forever in debt. Robert told me that he used to work for one of the top pharma companies in the country for over 6 years until he quit, sick of their shady practices. He had full access to every research paper, every type 2 diabetes discovery, and every clinical trial they ever invented. His blood sugar did not drop a single unit. He then told me the 3 biggest lies of the diabetes industry, a secret so carefully guarded that he could get into a lot of trouble if his former company executives would find out he was talking to me. And it's because, as he said, this entire industry is corrupted to the bone. From the moment your doctor gives the verdict, type 2 diabetes, he starts prescribing medications which your body builds resistance to over time. Then, as soon as your blood sugar goes up, they start prescribing even more drugs just to counter the uselessness of the previous ones. That's when you find yourself in a vicious circle from where your doctor says you cannot escape without even more drugs. And that is the big type 2 diabetes lie number 1. Drugs keep your blood sugar low. The truth is, drugs like metformin only treat the symptoms of type 2 diabetes and not the cause of it. So with time, your body gains resistance to it, forcing your doctor to increase your dosage. Then finally, when it stops working, your blood sugar levels are too high and your type 2 diabetes has gotten so bad, every drug becomes useless. It's just like putting a Band-Aid on an open wound. And the worst part of it is the side effects that come after. Feeling tired all the time, pain in the muscles, dizziness, and in the long run, kidney problems, heart problems, liver problems. In April 2020, a class action lawsuit was filed against metformin, asking FDA and its manufacturer to recall the drug from the market due to its deadly side effects. The truth is that your doctor may be a good person, but they'll never tell you about the dangerous effects these drugs have on you in the long run, because they are a money source too good for big pharma to kill. To really escape from type 2 diabetes, you have to go at the root cause, which is the damage of your brain's natural defense system, called the blood-brain barrier. Then Robert revealed the big type 2 diabetes lie number 2. Exercise lowers your blood sugar. Ever since you get your type 2 diabetes diagnosis, you're stuck in a vicious circle. Along with side effect-filled drugs, your doctor and everyone else tells you that you should start exercising because it will be good for your health. But no one tells you exactly what happens to your blood sugar as you start exercising. As you work out, your body releases a stress hormone called cortisol. This stimulates your liver to release glucose, raising your blood glucose level and eventually making your body even more resistant to insulin. A 2011 study published by the University of Alberta showed that exercising in combination with metformin did not actually lower blood sugar in type 2 diabetics. The truth is, exercising may work for a while, but won't get your blood sugar to healthy levels in the long run. And that's because it doesn't address the real cause of your type 2 diabetes, which is your body's natural defense system becoming damaged, called the blood-brain barrier, which in turn doesn't allow insulin to travel to your brain. And with that, Robert unveiled the third and biggest type 2 diabetes lie of all. Type 2 diabetes is a life sentence. Flat out lie. From the moment you get your type 2 diabetes diagnosis, your health is being sold to the highest bidder, and your doctor knows this. That's why they'll constantly prescribe you the same side effect-filled treatments they were paid by Big Pharma to do so, and assure you that your condition will improve. Then, when your type 2 diabetes worsens, your doctor shrugs his shoulders like it's somehow your fault and prescribes you more meds. Listen, when was the last time any doctor told you to take less drugs as it will do good for you and your type 2 diabetes? I'm guessing never. That's because everyone knows that you don't bite the hand that feeds you, and that is Big Pharma's long, greedy hand. It's been well established that doctors, together with the biggest diabetes associations, have been taking money from big pharma corporations who manufacture insulin, metformin, and other diabetes medications. In 2005, the American Diabetes Association took $23 million from food manufacturers and big pharma companies. In 2012, the amount reached $31 million. Can you imagine how high this amount has gotten over the years? Big Pharma and the medical industry pays hundreds of millions every year to these diabetes protocols groups. And since the average diabetic spends over $16,000 every year on medical expenses, you're a cash cow too big for them to give up on you. They'll continue to push anything that's chemical-filled and makes them money. What a giant racket they've set up. As I listened to Robert telling me all this, I finally understood. I understood why money-draining type 2 diabetes drugs, with all their side effects, are perfectly designed to keep you a prisoner of Big Pharma's death trap. Why the entire pharmaceutical empire hasn't moved a finger to find a solution for type 2 diabetes, just because it wasn't good for their bottom lines. And why none of the medications the doctors prescribed to Lizzie was ever going to help her break free from this terrible disease. But there is hope, and in just a minute, I'll reveal to you Robert's secret. He was kind enough to let me record this part of the conversation, so without further ado, here's Robert's story. Is this on? Yes, go ahead please. James, I want you to know that what happened to Lizzie, it's not her fault. Not too long ago, modern medicine failed me too. I had done everything the doctors told me to. I trusted the crooked pharma industry with my very own life and religiously followed every prescription I got, even though it almost cost me all my savings. And yet, there I was in that hospital bed, waiting to sign the papers that would make me disabled for the rest of my days. After all the assurances I got from doctors that everything will be fine, it was all fine for nothing. So I decided I wasn't going to spend my life in a wheelchair. I knew I had limited time, and even if these could have been my last days, I decided to go on a healing journey around the world. I visited little-known places, from the deep, dark Amazonian forests to the incredible African tribes and remote Japan villages. And even though the journey was long and painful, I made it my mission not to give up. I met with spiritual healers, tribal chiefs, and shamans, and even met some of my old friends down the road, good folks who no longer trusted that the crooked system could save them. Right when I started to lose any hope, God sent me to a remote Vietnamese village. I was surprised by how welcoming its inhabitants were. But what surprised me the most was how well in shape they were, even the most elderly ones. I mean, I'd heard stories of this place, stories I'd gathered during my travels. People whispered about a little-known place, a remote Vietnamese village where the rich people go to age backwards. That's what people would call it. You go there to age backwards. I always thought it sounded more like a fairy tale. But as I got to talk to the villagers, I gradually came to understand everything. I learned why the elites would only speak in quiet about this place, as if they wouldn't want too many people to know. I understood why the villagers were so proud of their culinary culture, Why, none of them had type 2 diabetes. Not even their most elderly. It's what keeps us healthy, they all kept saying to me. Legend said that whoever drank this mixture would live a long and prosperous life. I honestly thought they would ask for a fortune for it. I even offered to pay them $20,000, which was all the money I had left. But from the goodness of their heart, these villagers looked at me and said the only thing they would need in return, if possible, is for me to pay them for how much it cost them to dry the plants and extract the ingredients. The amount was pennies. I'll tell you, these no-name villagers saved my life, James, when the billion-dollar pharma industry and their gang of cohort doctors left me to die. And I have faith that it will save Lizzie, too. Here's the recipe and what I have left of the villagers' incredible mix. I don't need it anymore. I'm free from type 2 diabetes. Take it, and make sure you tell Lizzie to take half a spoonful of its content with a big glass of water, once a day after dinner. In just weeks after the villagers gave him this special mixture, Robert was no longer a type 2 diabetic. And even though it's been 2 years ever since, his blood sugar continues to stay at healthy levels, while Robert enjoys life at its fullest. As soon as I got home, I checked every herb, fruit, plant, and mushroom on Robert's list. What I found was incredible. All of these ingredients were linked to countless studies and research and showed to have amazing benefits for the body. All of them had the power to repair and strengthen your brain's blood barrier, which in turn allows insulin to travel to your brain and stabilize your blood sugar to normal, healthy levels. I noticed there were 3 main ingredients on the recipe. The first one was ashwagandha, or winter cherry, an ancient medicinal herb with miraculous powers. A 2015 study has shown ashwagandha to be very effective in lowering blood sugar levels. Another lab test has proven that it also improves insulin sensitivity in muscle cells. Ashwagandha is considered an adaptogen, meaning that it can help your body manage stress, fights anxiety and depression, and boosts brain function. The second ingredient was chamomile. In lab tests, Japanese scientists gave subjects a chamomile extract every day for 3 weeks, while the control group received a placebo. Researchers found that the group consuming chamomile had significantly lower blood glucose levels. Several studies show that chamomile can also suppress enzymes that are linked to an increased risk of complications associated with type 2 diabetes, such as vision, kidney, and nerve damage. It has also been proven highly effective in lowering cholesterol levels and triglycerides. The third 5-star ingredient was skullcap. In a 2009 study, skullcap improved the activity of antioxidant enzymes in the liver and lowered blood sugar levels. The same study showed that it can lower cholesterol levels in type 2 diabetics. Another study published in 2017 showed that taken for 4 weeks, skullcap decreased the levels of triglycerides in people with type 2 diabetes and promoted weight loss. And there was something else. After carefully looking over the next ingredients from Robert's list, I noticed that all of them were rich in a powerful compound called GABA, or gamma-aminobutyric acid. A comprehensive research published by the University of Toronto, Canada, shows that taking GABA actually reduces inflammation inside the pancreas, which is a key step in helping the body regulate insulin levels and keep blood sugar under control. The same study shows that GABA neurotransmitters play a crucial role in making the brain more receptive to insulin, which results in healthy blood sugar. Lab tests have also shown that taking GABA for just 6 weeks helps with chronic stress, anxiety, and problem sleeping. And that's because it has a calming role on your brain cells. A 2019 study showed that people who had high GABA levels also showed healthy blood sugar levels, and their type 2 diabetes could be reversed. Then the list continued with a total of 17 powerful plants that mixed together formed the ultimate anti-type 2 diabetes cocktail. Moreover, they all supported healthy arteries, heart, joints, bone strength, and even promoted safe and effortless weight loss. This was the holy grail of type 2 diabetes and health. And yet, none of the doctors we went to ever mentioned any of these ingredients to my wife. They were too busy prescribing her medications, which were filled with harmful side effects. Now, there was just one more thing I had to figure out. How could I combine these foods in a practical way so that it didn't generate huge costs? Sure, these nutrients were abundant on the Vietnamese island, but for me to get there, just one round trip would cost a small fortune, let alone a few of them. I needed a better plan. A way to extract all these powerful nutrients and combine them into a practical way that would make them easier to collect, store, and consume. So Robert and I started looking for companies that would help us bring the plants into the States in bulk to manufacture them into easy-to-swallow capsules. Also, the villagers warned Robert that in order for the mixture to work, the ingredients had to be combined in the right order and quantities. And since Robert already had the formula, all we had to do is find a small, discreet company that would help us manufacture it. We specifically looked for a company that was both FDA approved and GMP, Good Manufacturing Practices certified. Now, this was harder than we thought. It took us weeks until we found someone reliable. You'd be shocked by how ignorant most of these companies are when it comes to maintaining the quality and purity of their materials. I remember jumping with joy when we actually found the one company that matched our standards. Now, all we needed was someone with medical expertise to help us produce the ultimate anti-type 2 diabetes formula. And while we're at it, why not use modern technology to adjust quantities and make it even more powerful? Luckily, Robert already knew the right person for the job since the days he was working in the pharma industry. His name was Dr. James Henderson. With over 35 years of medical experience, I came to realize that Dr. Henderson was not only a good doctor, but also a good person. He agreed to help us right away, since his wife was pre-diabetic. "Your findings are incredibly accurate," Dr. Henderson said. "To be honest, every year doctors and researchers come to this lab and try to bring to light a study about insulin receptors, but then they disappear into the woodwork. I never hear from them again. It almost feels like someone would deliberately want them to keep quiet and hide this breakthrough to the world." I remember this happening last year, as well as in the fall of 2018 and in 2017. I know firsthand that big pharma corporations have special departments dedicated to finding and suppressing these amazing findings, Dr. Henderson concluded. And so he got to work. He and his team worked day and night to decompose the ingredients into special molecules and extract the powerful nutrients they contained. And just as Robert and I specified, Dr. Henderson helped us make this formula even stronger. He added vitamin E for a stronger immune system, better vision, and healthy skin, biotin for high energy levels, zinc for sharper memory and brain performance, and the final touch, yarrow flowers for strong gut protection. It was a masterpiece. And since the facility was already FDA approved, we didn't have to wait for years in exhausting and money-draining approval procedures. All we needed was one willing person to test it. And of course, that person was Lizzie. All she needed was to take one capsule each day with water. Now, Lizzie was skeptical at first, and in all fairness, she had every right to, since everything else she tried failed her. But as Dr. Henderson explained, this wasn't like anything else. So she agreed to try it. Now, the first couple days, nothing happened, and I could see her losing hope. After the third day, she was that close to giving up. But not a week later, her blood sugar dropped from 274 to 193, something that gave us hope for the first time in Lizzie's long, painful type 2 diabetic journey. A few days later after that, it was down to 143. Then, in just a few weeks since she started the program, her blood sugar was down to 121. She carefully checked over the next few days, and it went up to 130 a few times. But as she remembered what Dr. Henderson said, it was normal in this stage, and she should wait because it will soon get much better. And Dr. Henderson was right. Because after just 4 weeks, her blood sugar was down to a healthy 117, and every day after that was a blessing. Her blood sugar levels would never go higher than 117, even when she ate all her favorite desserts. Moreover, Lizzie woke up every day full of energy, her stress and anxiety all gone, and as she looked down to the bathroom scale, she had already lost 36 pounds. It was the most amazing feeling ever. When the doctors saw Lizzie's test results, they called it a miracle. They couldn't believe how someone could naturally lower their blood sugar without taking their dangerous drugs. Her doctor had no other choice but to take Lizzie off her medication. As she walked out of the clinic, Lizzie was finally free. Free from the shackles of this debilitating disease. Free from all the fear and anxiety that have imprisoned her for so many years. Her life back to normal. What a wonderful feeling to hear it from your own doctor that you are no longer type 2 diabetic. She could finally enjoy all the amazing things we had planned for our retirement. She could play with our kids and grandkids all day long and go out to any restaurant without worrying that she'd get tired or what food she could eat. She was finally type 2 diabetes free. As I watched Lizzie get her life back, you can imagine that I wanted to share this with the entire world. But as Dr. Henderson said, to prove this formula works for anyone, we needed more people willing to test it. So we went online and posted a few messages looking for participants. In less than a week, we had 88 volunteers, from pre-diabetics to people who've been type 2 diabetics for 5, 10, and even 20 years. Each one of them got 4 months' supply of these ingredients. But after just a few weeks, every single one of the participants reported a major drop in their blood sugar levels. Robert's amazing formula worked for all of them, with zero exception. In fact, Dr. Henderson's brother was one of the volunteers, and just as the other people who tried this formula, his glucose levels got back to normal healthy levels and he's no longer pre-diabetic. Many people also reported losing weight from their belly, arms, face, hips, and thighs, increased their energy levels, having clearer vision, and getting rid of the pain in their arms and legs. At the end of the test, 100% of the volunteers broke free from their type 2 diabetes. That's a 100% success rate. Seeing these results, we knew what we had to do next. So we put everything into an easy-to-swallow capsule to take once a day that allows you to break free from type 2 diabetes in a matter of weeks. We called it Mellitox, the only natural blend that goes directly to the real root cause of your type 2 diabetes, so you can naturally lower your blood sugar and escape from this debilitating disease. We only produce Mellitox in our FDA-approved and good manufacturing practices GMP facility using the latest technology and equipment. Every capsule of Mellitox is non-GMO and safe. The process is very easy to follow. It doesn't require any restrictive diets or starving yourself. And based on the tens of thousands of successful results we've seen, we can now say for certain that Mellitox is more powerful than any diet in the world. Because it doesn't just help break free from type 2 diabetes, but also rejuvenates your heart and arteries, improves your vision, your memory and focus, boosts your energy levels, and so much more. So you'll also be improving your overall health at the same time. This program has already changed the lives of over 120,000 people. Let me share some of their stories with you. Michael Key, 54 years old, from Portland, Oregon, says, "I've been living with type 2 diabetes for almost 8 painful years. The doctors put me on 2 different medications and the side effects were awful. So when I saw your formula and the results other people had, I knew I had to try it. I actually cried in my doctor's office when he told me that I'm no longer type 2 diabetic and that my pancreas functions properly. Thank you so much." Betty Reeves, 49 years old, from Oswego, New York, says, "Type 2 diabetes ruined every aspect of my life. I felt so scared every time I would take a bite to eat, every time we had dinner at a restaurant. I was constantly afraid of what might happen to me. I followed your plan, and by week 4, my blood sugar was back to normal. By week 7, I had already lost 24 pounds, which was a big bonus. Now, I'm no longer type 2 diabetic, and I can enjoy every moment with my family. I wish I'd known about this sooner." Richard Baker, 56 years old, from Mesa, Arizona, says, "This is the only thing that worked for me. I bought countless Amazon cookbooks. I exercised just as the doctor ordered and maintained a healthy lifestyle. But with every year, my blood sugar was getting worse and worse. I was desperate, very scared, and in a lot of pain." As soon as you get your type 2 diabetes diagnosis, you hear all those stories about amputation, coma, and you wonder when they'll happen to you. This debilitating disease is a ticking time bomb, and now I finally found the key to put an end to it. My blood sugar is back to normal, my pancreas functions properly, and I'm having the time of my life with my kids and grandkids. I know I can finally eat all my favorite foods and desserts worry-free. I wish I had it the first day I got diagnosed. Thank you so much. The only thing you have to do in order to achieve the same results is to follow this program as soon as possible. This method is very simple and safe, and in less than a minute, I'll give you access to everything. So, are you ready to escape the type 2 diabetes nightmare? Are you ready to say yes to this incredible moment that gives you freedom to do anything you want and enjoy your life as a free person? Then ask yourself, how much is it worth to you to have full control over your life and body? No more frustration, no more worries or fear of deadly health complications. No more living a limited life. Instead, you wake up every morning knowing you have the freedom to do anything, just like in your younger years. Just let yourself feel this and tell me, is it worth $100,000? $50,000? $10,000? Although after looking at the outstanding success of this program, Dr. Henderson recommended that we should charge at least $997. And while my wife said it's worth at least $497, seeing that she got her life back, even though Mellitox has already helped over 120,000 people from all over the world who would happily pay double that amount. And, not to mention, the thousands of dollars you will save every year on side effects-filled prescription medications. If this were about the money for us, we could have just taken Big Pharma's offer and retire in riches on some exotic island. But then, stories like the ones you heard would not exist. And that's unacceptable for me. Because the last thing I want is for anyone else to go through what Lizzie went through. All the pain and the constant fear of deadly health complications. Nobody should be forced to go through this. That's why I'll never ask for $997, $497, or anything close to that. Our goal is to just cover the costs of the ingredients and keep this website running for as long as we can. And even though we initially set the price at $99 per bottle, since you've stayed through the entire presentation, that means a lot. So today, you can get a 30-day supply of Mellitox for a one-time fee of $69 and not a penny more. Now, after seeing the results of over 120,000 women and men, Dr. Henderson and I recommend you take Mellitox for at least 90 days to achieve best results. This will give your body enough time to absorb and process all the powerful nutrients behind this formula, so you can finally escape type 2 diabetes. Also, due to recent difficulties we've been having in sourcing these powerful ingredients, we can only produce Mellitox in 3-month batches. This means that once we run out of supply, you'll have to wait another 3 months, and the buy button will automatically disappear from this website. And by all means, we want to help you as much as we can. So we're offering a big discount on the 3 and 6 bottle package when you place your order today. Now, if this sounds good to you, then look below now. Once you make your choice, you'll be taken to our secure checkout page. It takes less than a minute to enter your payment information, and once your order is confirmed, we'll ship Mellitox straight to your doorstep. Now, Mellitox is selling very fast. It can only be found on this page through this website at this moment, and it's not available on any other store in the world. Like I said, we produce Mellitox in small batches, which take 3 to 6 months to restock, because the ingredients we use are extremely high quality and hard to find. Then there's Big Pharma, trying to push our back against the wall, constantly threatening to shut down this website. We honestly don't know how much longer we can keep risking our family's safety. So go ahead and choose below. And if you wonder if this will work for you, I get it. You've probably tried a lot of things over the years. Put your hopes and trust, and one after another, they let you down. But I'm very confident that Mellitox is the right thing for you. That's why I'm going to give you our 60-day money-back guarantee. If after 2 months you don't see a dramatic change, even if you've used up the entire bottle, send us an email or call us and we'll refund every penny back. No questions asked. There are no hidden fees and no subscriptions. Just a simple, secure, one-time only payment. So go ahead and make your choice now. Give yourself a chance to live a better, unrestricted life. Listen, the way I see it, two paths stand in front of you. The first path is where you leave this page and go back to your regular life, constantly worrying about what you eat and drink, always living a limited life. And keep asking yourself why it is so hard to keep a healthy blood sugar level, while you're trapped in a never-ending vicious circle of stress, anxiety, and frustration. Or you follow path number 2. Allow yourself to try Mellitox now while it's still available, and you'll be surprised how well it works. So go ahead, make your choice below right now. Select your package, and we'll deliver the package straight to your doorstep. Your order today is risk-free, protected by our 60-day money-back guarantee, and you also get free shipping from us. I can't wait for you to experience the amazing benefits of Mellitox. Still here? Let me answer some of the most important questions we receive about Mellitox so you can feel safe and confident when you place your order today. Is Mellitox right for me? We get this question often, and the answer is always the same. If you're looking to escape the type 2 diabetes nightmare and all the potential deadly complications, then Mellitox is definitely right for you. Is Mellitox safe to use? Yes. Mellitox is meant for people of all ages, no matter if you're 20 or 80 years old, and no matter your current health condition. It has no side effects, is 100% natural, non-GMO, doesn't contain any stimulants, and is not addictive. We produce Mellitox only using high-quality ingredients in an FDA-approved and GMP, Good Manufacturing Practices, certified facility. Now, as always, if you suffer from allergies or other certain medical conditions at this very moment, we advise that you consult with your doctor first. When should I take Mellitox? In order to achieve optimal results, we recommend you take 2 power capsules after breakfast, lunch, or dinner every day with a big glass of water. This will provide the necessary nutrient intake so you normalize your blood sugar and break free from type 2 diabetes. What if it doesn't work for me? Can you tell me about the guarantee? The more results we see, the more confident we are Mellitox will work for you. Of course, no 2 bodies are the same. That's why Mellitox comes with a risk-free 60-day money-back guarantee to give you peace of mind. If you decide Mellitox is not for you, you can return what you haven't used for a full, no-questions-asked, hassle-free refund. For how long will Mellitox still be available? I honestly don't know. History has shown us that Big Pharma is not going to sit aside and watch their margins fade away. They're not afraid to spend millions in legal fees to shut down this site, so make sure you get Mellitox while it's still available. How do I get Mellitox? It's easy. Choose your package below and fill in the information on the next page. Try Mellitox for 2 months, and if you're unhappy with the results, even if you've used up the entire bottle, send me an email and you get every penny back. So go ahead and select below now.
Cool, right? Click the link in the description for my price discounted special.